We're at Kinchega National Park at an overflow of Menindee Lake, and what you can see is a huge number of carp that are trying to get up through the pipes. Carp were an introduced species. They're in Europe, I believe Asia as well, and Beryl Carmichael, an Indigenous elder of the Menindee Lakes region, told us that she can remember a time in which the rivers were certainly much clearer than they are today. One of the reasons they're so much more murkier these days is that carp actually get in and they muddy up the water, dig around in the bottom of the river, and the numbers of carp now in these rivers is huge. One of the ways that's been developed of trying to catch the carp is the carp actually jump. They try and jump from one section of the river to the next if there's something blocking the pathway, and native fish don't do this. And so people put in nets, and when the carp jump up to jump over the obstacle, they get caught in the net. Getting back to flow of thoughts, looking at this and giving an example of thinking about what's going to happen here. This water is drying up. Menindee Lakes have been in flood, and that flood water is now disappearing. So these carp are going to die here. They can't get up through the pipe, and they may well become fossilised. An example of how they might turn out is found in a place in New South Wales. I can't remember the name, but there was a flood, say about 370 or so million years ago, and a number of the bony fish from the Devonian period were fossilised in a floodplain. The water dried up. There's a huge number of these fish that are found in this area. Other examples of Devonian fish are up in the Kimberleys, and also, interestingly, at Menindee National Park, which is north of the Menindee Lakes. In those Devonian rocks we also find footprints of eurypterids, which were sea scorpions. And there's also Devonian rocks, granite Devonian, in Wilson's Prom. In fact, most of Wilson's Prom is Devonian. But coming back to this point of these carp, which are soon to be potentially, hopefully, fossilised, possibly they might be excavated by a form of life which could become intelligent in the future. Australia's drifting north, let's say 200 million years from now. It's hypothesised that the continents will collide together, and we've given that supercontinent in the future a name. We call it Pangaea Ultima. And if there are paleontologists from some future species that get smart, they might be fairly confused by the fact that they don't find evidence of us if they dig up the carp first. They'll find carp in Europe, Asia, and Australia, and they'll be wondering how on earth a freshwater fish managed to, without changing its shape, without evolving into something else, end up in these different, once were separated continents 200 million years ago from the point in which they were excavated. And further, what would a paleontologist in the future look like, or think like?